Hello everyone, my name is Phương Nhi, a user experience design student at Desai Berlin University of Life Science. I'm on a quick break after class, and here's my user lunch: a bag of biscuit, a chocolate bar, and a glass of fresh milk. Lately, I've been asking myself, what happened when the seemingly harmless food, like this glass of fresh milk, can be potentially pose significant threat to development of some children. Such strange, right? With reality. And it's also one of the things that is special attention, especially regarding the PQ children. Today, I'm not just introducing a project, I'm telling a story of a student carrying a unique challenge, phenylketonuria, commonly known as PKU. Phenylketonuria is a rare inherited metabolic disorder that prevents the body from breaking down an amino acid called phenylalanine, which is found in all proteins and some artificial sweeteners. If left untreated, phenylalanines build up in the blood and brain, leading to severe brain damage and intellectual disabilities. According to a comprehensive meta-analysis published in the National Library of Medicine, an official website of the United States government, the phenylketonuria is estimated to affect approximately 450,000 individuals globally, with an average incidence of 1 in 23,930 newborns. However, when we narrow our slant to a regional level, the density of a diagnosis shifts significantly. Data from a German Society for Newborn Screening reveals that in Germany, the combined incidence of classic phenylketonuria and hyperphenylalaninemia is notably higher, sitting at approximately 1 in 5,500 live births. This statistical reality means that every single year, between 114 and 115 children in this country are identified with this metabolic disorder. For children with PKU, daily life is a journey filled with constant challenge. They cannot eat or drink as freely as other children. No meat, no dairy, and so many other familiar foods are off limits. Every day, these families and the children themselves face a unique survival challenge: how to ensure the healthy physical growth while strictly controlling phenylalanine levels, a substance that can cause severe brain damage if it exceeds safe limits. Behind this strict discipline, there's more than just hardship, there's extraordinary strength, a daily struggle to protect the intellect, the health, and the future of these students. To gain a deeper clinical perspective, our team is heading to Charité, one of the Europe's premier medical institutions, through an exclusive academic partnership between our university and the hospital. We are about to interview Dr. Julia Neugebauer to uncover the professional insight driving this research. The first question is, if you have to explain about PQ to someone who has never heard of it before, so what do you describe this condition, and in what way does it challenge in both intellect and physical health of a child?
Yeah, this is actually something we have quite often, because when we explain the disease to the parents for the first time, they never heard of phenylketonuria or PKU. So if I explain it to them, I tell them, actually, when you think about metabolism, you don't really know what metabolism is actually all about. So you heard metabolism, but nobody knows what is it actually. But metabolism is really, we take food in our body, and we need this food, and we digest it and break it down to small amounts of nutrients. So we have three big nutrients. We have carbohydrates, we have protein, and we have fat, but we also have vitamins. And all of this we need to make energy out of it, and to build our muscles, to build our bones, and that is metabolism. All the little steps that are involved in doing this, so processing our food and making us strong. And there are inherited disorders, so diseases that you really have already when you are born, which are genetically, so you get it from your parents normally, but your parents just have one trait and you get it. And then there can be a little mistake in this metabolism. So you can have a mistake, for example, in breaking down some part of this protein, And that's the case with PKU. So you have proteins that you take into with your food, and then you have a little mistake in one of these metabolic steps where you can't process one part of protein. And in the case of phenylketonuria, it's the protein ingredient that is called phenylalanine, which is a small part of protein that you find everywhere. So phenylalanine is really inside every protein, and it's necessary for us to grow. But if you can't process it enough, it can build up and it can be really damaging in high amounts. And that's the case for PKU. So in PKU, children that are born with this defect, or also adults that still have it, can't process, can't get rid of too much phenylalanine. And the phenylalanine increases and gets really too much, and gets dangerous for our body, and especially dangerous, unfortunately, for our brain and the development. So children with PKU, if they don't follow the diet, can have really big problems in the intellect, and in processing thoughts. They can have seizures, they can have really damage for the brain.
So that's also the misconception about the PKU that you would like to correct, so that society can get a better understanding about with children, rather than a simply ordinary diet is not a normal diet.
Yeah. So I think that's a good point. So if we say okay, they have to follow a diet to get to don't take in so much phenylalanine, people often don't understand how much this really impacts life, because it's not about eating not protein in rich amounts. So it's not about not eating meat, not eating fish. They are not allowed to eat this, but there's also a lot of protein in what we consider normal day products like bread, like pasta, like rice. They are not allowed to eat normal pasta, not normal rice. They have to calculate every food that they eat and have to calculate, okay, is this too much for my body to process? So they can never sit at a table and say, okay, I'm just eating, and don't consider what is this all about, like we do. Yeah, we sit at the dinner table with our friends and we are just eating, snacking here and snacking there. But they always have to think, okay, is this something I can eat? And this is really amazing when you look at the children. They come to their parents, they come to their caregivers and ask, am I allowed to eat this? So how much protein is there? And somebody else, or they, if they are older, have to calculate and say, okay, that's allowed for me and that's not. But it's really impacting life. It's not a simple diet where you say, okay, I'm vegetarian, I don't eat fish and meat. It's impacting every food that you eat. So it's a really strict diet.
Yeah,
there's always the fear. So if I'm vegetarian, if I eat meat, okay, I don't feel, I wouldn't feel nice about it, but I wouldn't be really dangerously affected if I eat it. So it wouldn't be like, okay, if I eat too much, and this happens like a lot of times, then I have problems. So it's really different.
The next question is, what are the most common mistakes that parents or caregiver make when managing PKU in children, and how can be prevented?
Really well trained, I have to say. So they really know a lot about, okay, how much Phe is in this food and how much is there, and on the long term, I think, but I don't think it's a mistake. It's more a way of how they are handling things. But there's one point where, because you are eating kind of the same over day, and sometimes it's where if they are following the diet that they have every day, they don't have to count every day anymore, I think. And for it's also because you have these tables where every value stands for, like an apple, and they stands, okay, an apple has 40 milligram of Phe, but not every apple is the same. And I think one needs to be aware that these tables, these long lists of Phe values, suggest something that it's really that it's really concrete and everything is really in detail, but nature is not this way. So you have one apple with more vitamins and you have one apple with more phenylalanine than the other, and so it is with a lot of food. So these calculating can have errors, and these errors are normal, but they are not big.
So, if you could give one essential piece of advice to families raising a child with PQ, what would it be?
So actually,
A lot.
today one family also told something really important, because they said, okay, what is my superpower for my child? And they said it's love, and I think that is really the most important thing. Yeah, that families, they of course have a chronically ill child, but it's so much about giving love to your child, and of course everything else has to go on.
Yeah, it's the most important part. And so the last question is, what are the most important skills you hope to a 6 to 12 years old child with PQ can develop in order to take care of their own health before entering the adolescence?
Yeah. So of course it depends on the age, but what you really can see from a young age on is that they ask their caregivers and their parents, am I allowed to eat this? Yeah. So if they have something that they are not aware, asking, okay, is this okay for me to eat? Yeah, that's a really great ability. And later on, of course, having already a knowledge of things they are allowed to eat, and a knowledge which are foods where they really have to tell their parents, okay, I ate so much from this and so much from this. Later on, if they're a bit older, they even can learn to calculate things. But for the beginning, it's really having the awareness, okay, I have to ask if I eat something that I've never eaten before, or these are things where I have to be a bit careful to eat.
Okay, thank you a lot. Your knowledge and experience were really valuable for our project.
Perfect. Really happy to help. Thank you so much.
Today, Charity Hospital provides us with the opportunity to meet the children and their families, and allow us to hold a special workshop to learn more about the real-life situations and daily challenges faced by parents and children with PKU in their daily lives. Before meeting the children in person, we received the detailed information from doctors and specialists about the special nutritional requirement for PKU children, from foods they can safely consume to ingredients that need to be strictly controlled to protect their intellectual development and long-term health.
Okay, good. Now,
Either way.
For most of us, meat, fish, dairy, and nuts are the very definition of essential nutrition. But for a child with PKU, these everyday proteins pose a silent metabolic threat. Phenylketonuria strips the body of its ability to break down phenylalanine, an amino acid found not only in natural proteins but also in common additives like aspartame. Without strict, lifelong dietary restriction, this substance accumulates in the bloodstream, crossing the blood-brain barrier, and causing irreversible neurological damage. In this fragile reality, specialized low-protein medical formulas and strictly calculated diets are no longer just choices. They are a single line of defense protecting a child's intellectual future. In this room, we can taste these specialized products firsthand. Far from ordinary supplements, these formulas are marvel of medical bioengineering. Because natural, intact proteins are dangerous, these medical foods are built from scratch using free-form amino acids, essentially pre-digested building blocks with phenylalanine meticulously excluded. Crucially, they are heavily fortified with tyrosine, the exact amino acid these children's bodies fail to produce, blended with essential fatty acids, structural lipids, and dense micronutrients. This synthetic matrix does more than just sustain life. It acts as a permanent biochemical shield, ensuring cognitive survival and normal development well into adulthood. The 45-minute setup periods were a race against time. To capture 4 distinct realities of living with PKU, we divide the room into 4 interactive quadrants, each focusing on a specific thematic challenge. Our team rapidly laid out toolkits and whiteboards tailored to nutrition, medical checkup, daily life, and sport and leisure. Every table was transformed into an isolated focus area, created to extract deep personal insight from the children and the parents. With exactly 30 minutes left before the families arrived, the environment was perfectly aligned with our research goals, and the 4 distinct thematic words were ready for action. The children who joined us today were all between the age of 8 to 12, a critical transitional window in their development. At this stage, they are leaving early childhood behind, stepping away from constant parental supervision to navigate the social complexity of school and friendships as independent individuals. In the nutrition check, standard meals become a calculated science because strict discipline is non-negotiable for these children. Our mission was to replace complex medical jargon with intuitive visual guidance. We designed interactive toolkits that help them safely distinguish foods, decode product packaging, and confidently measure their daily phenylalanine boundaries. Our second team tackles sport and leisure, where metabolic limits meet the pure desire to be a kid. Managing intense activities, school trips, or birthday parties require a hidden strategy. We focus on making dietary compliance invisible, so these children can protect their health while fully enjoying every childhood adventure. The daily life domain tackles the complex logistics of lifelong dietary therapy. To drive stable compliance, our team focused on mapping out the overwhelming daily routines the children must navigate. Through intuitive design framework, we translate rigid medical schedules and supplement intakes into manageable, everyday habits, giving them the tools to confidently build their own autonomy. Our final check, medical checkups, tackles the anxiety of routine hospital visits and blood draws. Within this focus area, our goal was to demystify the clinic and create a safe space for these children. We want to empower them, transforming the passive patient into active participants who know what questions to ask the doctors and who possess the tools to face a blood draw without fear. To do this, we introduced a game called Emoji Voting, where children use stickers to visualize express their feelings about medical tools and treatments. This simple approach helps parents, doctors, and our team uncover their true emotions, from fear to hope. In the problem-solving stage, we guide the children to identify and name the daily challenge, in the crucial steps that helps them understand their own needs and build problem-solving skills from an early age. These notes completely changed how we see about the PKU. Beyond the medical data, we witnessed a real human experience, the daily friction, the underlying anxieties, and the incredible resilience of these children. They are problem solvers in their own right. We learned that holistic care requires an entire ecosystem of parents, physicians, and community. In the end, the most important takeaway isn't the disorder, it's the brilliant children behind it, showing us that the potential is limitless.